Mr. Chairman,
Thank
nearly
you for your
50
answer.
years ago, the Supreme Court handed down one of its most controversial ever decisions, Roe v. Wade. Since that ruling, there have been over 60 million abortions in this country. 60 million innocent lives ended before they even had a chance. That's over 1 million abortions each year since this slaughter was legalized back in 1973 on January 22nd, which happens to be my birthday. Planned Parenthood alone performs over 320,000 abortions each year. That's approximately the population of my hometown, Cincinnati, Ohio. So Planned Parenthood essentially wipes out the equivalent of the population of Cincinnati every year, year after year. Mr. Chairman, life is precious, and we should do all we can to protect it. Since I was elected here, been involved in a whole range of pieces of legislation, introduced the ban on partial birth abortion, for example, which President Bush signed into law. It went all the way U.S. Supreme Court. They upheld it, and it's now the law of the land. But there are still far too many abortions in this country. The legislation that we're discussing today is Texas Law SB 8, and it would effectively, of course, ban abortions after a heartbeat is detected in the womb. This legislation has been described by many in the media as extreme and unprecedented. In reality, we've been discussing a ban on abortions after a heartbeat for years. In fact, 13 states, including my home state of Ohio, have enacted some form of legislation which prohibits abortions if a heartbeat is detected. And there's the Federal Heartbeat Protection Act, which Mike Kelly, a member of this institution, has co-sponsored, along with many of us, and a number on this committee. And so, Mr. Chairman, banning abortions after a baby's heartbeat is detected is neither extreme nor unprecedented. But I'll tell you something that is extreme, and that's allowing a massive abortion outfit like Planned Parenthood to kill the equivalent of Cincinnati's population every year. And something else that's extreme is witnessing members on the other side of the aisle abandoning the Hyde Amendment, which has enjoyed bipartisan support for 40 years now and has saved nearly 2.5 million lives. Getting rid of the Hyde Amendment will force American taxpayers to pay for other people's abortions. But even though the radical left is fully in control in the House and in the Senate and in the White House, states and local governments are fighting back. In addition to the heartbeat bills that we've already mentioned, earlier this year, 2 cities in my congressional district, Lebanon and Mason, became the first cities in Ohio to pass an ordinance making them pro-life sanctuary cities and forbidding abortions within their city limits. And I applaud the leaders in both of those communities for taking that brave stance, and I hope others will follow that example. Mr. Chairman, we need to be direct and honest about what's being discussed here today. Abortion is not health care. It's a barbaric procedure that ends the life of an unborn baby. By 10 weeks, an unborn baby has arms and legs and fingers and toes, and among other things, he or she can suck their thumb, stretch, jump when startled. In short, these babies are alive, and they deserve our protection. Ms. Glenn Foster, let me ask you this. One of our other witnesses has already quite astonishingly said that abortion is an act of love. Is that your opinion?
It is not. Life is not frivolous. Abortion is not health care. That's the whole point. And I never thought that I would hear an OBGYN tell this committee that dismembering a fellow human being is an act of love, an act of freedom. We can and we must do better.
Thank you. You mentioned the dismemberment abortion, and when we passed the Partial Birth Abortion Ban Act, we knew we were stopping thousands of abortions each year, but we knew there were other forms. Could you, and I know it's pretty horrific, but could you describe essentially what a dismemberment abortion is, which is still legal in this country?
Certainly. It involves inserting tools into the uterus, into the womb, to literally rip a child apart limb from limb. That's really the crux of it.
Pretty horrific stuff. And these babies oftentimes are capable of feeling pain. Is that correct?
Absolutely. If you're doing prenatal surgery, then not only do you provide anesthesia to the mother, you also treat the baby's potential pain.
And one last, I'm almost out of time. We're trying to protect both the health of the woman and the baby. Is that right? We're trying to protect both.
Yes, and the majority of Americans understand that when we pass pro-life laws, that is what we are doing. We're protecting both mother and child.
Thank you very much. I yield back.